Hello, welcome back again for section 3. We've talked so far about your symptoms, and hopefully you realise that your symptoms don't take you a million miles away from perfectly normal kind of behaviours and thinking behaviours. You realise hopefully now that you're not going crazy, there's nothing massively wrong with you. It's just the way you deal with this particular emotion of anxiety which is kind of taking over a little bit for you. So, you just need a little bit of work. And the bit of work you need to work on is your mental health, okay, your mental fitness, if you like. You're not mentally ill, okay, we're just looking at improving something that most people in the population need to just kind of be considering, which is just their mental ability just to get the best out of life. So you're not alone. Most people today could do with a little bit of work just keeping their brain kind of just where it needs to be. Their thinking processes, not done by control, it's done by in fact something called mindfulness, just spotting when your thinking is a bit unhelpful, when you're taking on emotions that don't really work for you. And you don't do it by controlling them, but really largely by spotting them. I'm not going to get into mindfulness at this point, it's hugely helpful. And there is a little section I'm going to be putting up on the web that you can go and have a look at, which really helps you to get really mentally quite strong. But for the time being, we're going to work on your anxiety and how to control that anxiety. Now, it's not a patch or cure or a medicine. This is about education. Okay, it's not difficult. It doesn't take months and months of understanding before you kind of realise what I'm saying. But it does take a little moment of enlightenment. Okay, you have to kind of understand it in here, and I guarantee you it disappears. It's not difficult, stick with me on this, it's not difficult, but you do kind of have to hear what I'm saying, and it has to kind of resonate with you and hear the way to overcome it. It sounds very simple, but again, I guarantee you it works. The problem that you have at the moment is that you're trying to control this anxiety, you're trying to stop it happening by willing it away. You're having a thinking process is happening within your head where you're asking it, you're looking to see if it's ended. Has it gone yet? And the more you do that and you realise it's not going, the more fearful you get that it's there, and the more the physical sensations snowball and take over. So you know that you can't control it by fighting it. You know that you can't control it by thinking it away. You know you can't control it by wishing it away or wanting it to be gone. So how do you do it? Well, the only way you can stop anxiety from happening, to turn it off, you have to accept it. Okay? Now this sounds a little odd. It sounds possibly like it's a bit too easy. It just kind of can't work as simply as that. But I guarantee when you get this, and you've done it, and hopefully over the course of this session, you'll really feel it working. It stops just like that. You can actually feel it just stop. And you'll probably take an involuntary deep breath as you realise it's just gone. Okay? And so we'll watch out for that and see if it happens. It's done in 2 phases. The first is just to be aware of your level of physical anxiety, because mental and physical anxiety are kind of completely entwined. And when you're getting uptight and anxious, you'll find your shoulders have gone up and your breathing has gone shallow. And that's kind of the first stage really of, if you like, of your anxiety levels going up. And what happens at that point is then that the blood chemistry changes. Your oxygen and your CO2 levels alter, and you're becoming ready for this fight or flight that you may or may not need to do. So we're going to start by doing some breathing exercises. Okay, now this isn't kind of it. We're going to do this to begin with. I want you just to begin to relax. And what we're going to do after that is we're going to take you to a point where you sort of, people use the word spike in your anxiety, but we're going to try and elevate your levels of anxiety. And I'm going to bring them back down again for you. I'm going to show you how you stop them from building. Okay, it's very straightforward, but we'll start with breathing. When your breathing gets out of control, when you're anxious, it goes very shallow. And we need to develop deeper breathing. So I want you to breathe in for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 6, and then exhale for a count of 6. When you do it, I want you to watch where your shoulders are. I want you to feel your shoulders beginning to relax as you breathe. I want you to focus on nothing but the breathing. Nothing but the breathing. I want you to become very aware and mindful of your breathing pattern. I want you to watch your breathing. I want you to feel the air coming in. I want you to feel the air being held in your lungs as you hold for 6 seconds. And I want you to feel what happens to your shoulders as you exhale. It may be as you exhale that the breath comes out in short, jerky gasps. And that's the anxiety, holding everything tight. You're held tight, ready to fight or flight, and we need to relax that. So as the breaths happen and the breathing cycle develops, just watch what happens with your shoulders. So let's start now. Breathing in, holding, and then exhaling for 6 seconds. And breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. If you're struggling to exhale for the full 6 seconds, the more you relax, the easier that becomes. And we can develop the timings of this a little bit later on, but just keep the breathing process going. I want you to keep breathing in, holding, and then only when you're ready, on around about 6 seconds, exhale. And repeat the process, so the cycle goes again. Keep repeating the process. Okay, let's go through the process another couple of times. Keep it going and watch what happens. Just think about the breathing. Don't be distracted by anything other than the breathing cycle. Just keep with the breathing cycle. Okay, what we're doing here is we're just bringing you back and centering you in the present moment. Just getting you to focus in on the present moment in time. Everything that's a negative for you in terms of thinking is because you're thinking not about what's happening right now, but because of future thoughts, what may happen. And when you're at your worst, when you're most panicked and most frightened, you're not so worried about what's happening right now, but where it's going to lead to, what's going to happen next, what does it mean. It's always the future thought that you find most distressing. So what I want to do now is to just elevate your levels of arousal a little bit. You may find this distressing, and I want you to just go with me on this, because I'm going to just kind of hold your hand. I'm going to sit here and we'll go through this together, and we're going to see what really happens with anxiety. We're going to actually elevate your level of arousal, and we're going to let it develop. Rather than trying to get it to stop, wishing it would stop, we're going to go on a journey and see where it takes us. Now I know you'll find that thought distressing, but think about it. What harm has it ever done you? It's made you feel pretty lousy, sure. It's made you feel pretty weak at the end of it and drained, sure. But it hasn't done it, it hasn't changed you, it hasn't altered you, and it hasn't left you physically different. Okay? And with all the fighting that you've done so far, trying to stop it happening, wishing it would stop, the effort gone into thinking processes behind it, nothing really has ended up actually happening to you. So we're going to bring on a little spike in your anxiety, and I want you to watch what happens in the same way that you were watching your breathing. I want you to monitor all the bodily systems that change, all the physical sensations that change within you. I want you to focus on them, and we'll see what happens. Okay? And critically, I don't want you to make them stop happening. I don't want you to fight them. I want you to go with them, and we'll see what happens, and you're going to be really surprised. Okay? So let's just think about your symptoms. What brings on the symptoms? What is the thought? What is the kind of thing that you would do that makes you most anxious and panicked? Again, don't be frightened. Nothing bad will happen to you just by having this thought. Nothing will change. You will not change. The person that you become is unaffected by this particular symptom. So let's bring it on. And don't be frightened or fearful. You'll feel frightened or fearful, but that's just anxiety. And we're gonna watch that. We're gonna monitor it. Let's see where it goes. You're going to be surprised where it goes. It's going to evaporate. You're going to watch it and follow it. Can you feel changes in you? Can you feel the difference in your heartbeat? Do your legs feel different? All these things that your body is doing to keep you safe, it's good. That's what it's supposed to do. It's what it's designed to do. It's what everybody else's body will do when they're anxious. And yours is doing the same thing. Can you feel your heart rate? Is it really racing away? Does it maybe make you feel a little bit lightheaded? A little bit weak and giddy, or maybe dizzy? Do you feel clammy or cold, or can you feel any sweat breaking out as your body gets ready to flee the tiger? Think about what's happening in here. Feel the sensations in here. Until now you've been trying to fight these sensations, but today you're not. For the first time I want you to accept them. I want you to embrace these feelings. Explore them. They're a part of you. They're an important, critical part of you. Feel what does it feel like in here? Welcome that feeling. I can promise you this, the moment you absorb this, the moment you accept it, the moment you welcome it, genuinely welcome this feeling, I guarantee it evaporates in a heartbeat. It disappears. When this feeling comes back, if you run through a thought process which is along the lines of, I want it to stop, I've got to think my way out of this. I need it to stop. I don't like it. Is it gone yet? Is it coming back? Will it come back? It'll come back. The day that you finally embrace it and then allow it to exist, it's called acceptance. The moment you accept it to exist, genuinely, it evaporates in a heartbeat. Because that's the difference between normal anxiety and inappropriate anxiety. It's fear driving itself. It's the fear of the fear. You don't realise, but subconsciously that's what's happening. It's snowballing itself. So you stop the anxiety by allowing it, by accepting it. Accepting it's there and it can't drive itself anymore. It evaporates. And when the anxiety evaporates, the symptom, which is created because of it, evaporates as well. Now, in the case of a frightening thought, the thought can still be there, but if it's not frightening, it doesn't come back and trouble you. It's potentially just a thought. The same thought that everybody else has, but they're untroubled by it. So can you see the chain and how the whole thing is linked? And it drives itself to a crippling level where it snowballs and builds and builds and builds to panic. And you must never think that you can fight it away. In fact, the opposite. You will allow it to be. You allow the anxiety and you embrace it genuinely. I guarantee it evaporates. Now, if you haven't found this already through the course of this little mini presentation, then you haven't quite got it. And this is what we talked about earlier on. It's not like fitness training, where it's going to take months and weeks and months for you to see the benefits of it. This is instantaneous, but only if you truly get it. What I'm saying to you isn't to think in a way. You can't convince yourself that you're not frightened. You have to be genuinely accepting of it. And the best way to do that is to watch it in a non-judgmental, non-critical way. Don't have a conversation about it, because that's all future-based. Watch it in the now. Welcome it, because you've created it. You create the feelings that are in here, and it's good that you do. So watch them. They're not designed to harm you. They're designed to keep you safe. So watch them. Watch them, enjoy them, be grateful for these feelings. In here, not up here. If you feel it up here, you're in the wrong place. You need to embrace them in here, genuinely. And if it's not working, don't be critical, don't be judgmental of yourself. Just remind yourself that you're not doing it right. Okay, it's all happening up in the head. Just spot, I'm not doing it right. You don't need to have a conversation about it in your head. Just reset, get back into the feeling, the feelings of anxiety, and welcome them. And they're gone. You shouldn't need to keep working at this. Once you relearn the skill, and again, don't be watchful, don't be looking out for phases of anxiety, but when they come, every time they come, the first thing you do is to welcome them. And if you're not, remember, I keep repeating this, I know, but I've seen it before where people think they've got it and then they forget that they're not embracing it. And they think, oh, it's not working anymore. It's not a fix, it's not a cure, it's just acceptance of something which is perfectly normal in you. And you learn it, it becomes such a fantastic skill, such a great level of fitness, if you like. And I want you, whenever you have a situation, I want you to work at it, a bit like an athlete that would go to the track. They'd push themselves. They'd go through the discomfort, and it would make them fitter, better and stronger as a result of it. And it's the same for you. Don't ever avoid situations. That's the other thing. Always put yourself out and do the things that you would naturally want to do. Because if something is saying to you in your head, I won't go there because that tends to bring on those feelings. That's what we call avoidance. And avoiding a situation because you find it fearful is the worst thing you can do. So put yourself out there and allow the worst thing to happen. And it won't. It'll go. I promise you. Go and experience things. Put yourself in places that you might normally have found frightened and use those situations just like an athlete using the track. It's simple. Embrace the fear. Concentrate on the fear, the things that are happening within you right at that moment. And they go. I hope I've helped. And, just work at this. It's when you get it, you're sorted. You know it. It becomes like the truth. You kind of can see where you were going wrong. That little flaw in the thinking process that gave you such bad times, you just turn that around, you flip it back over, and you've now got the knowledge and you're employing the skills that everyone else in the population is doing. You forget them again, you have to revisit, you have to remember to do what everybody else does. It's not a battle, it's not hard to do, you're just doing something very slightly wrong. Okay? Again, I've waffled, so I'm going to leave you with it, but come back and find this page again and go through these little spikes until you kind of really get what I'm saying in here. Good luck. Thank you. Bye.